Every choice you make is filtered by a system designed to keep you predictable. You buried your best idea because you feared rejection from people who only understand the past. Stop seeking validation from cowards. Your compliance is fatal. Listen, I want to talk about that folder on your computer. You know the one. The one filled with half-written projects, crazy business ideas, or weird art that you never showed anyone. Why is it still hidden? I'll tell you why. Because somewhere along the line, someone convinced you that you need permission to create. Someone told you that before you build something, you need validation from an authority figure, a boss, an investor, or the almighty market. You've been trained to be a good little executor, constantly scanning the room to see if your ideas are acceptable. But look around. Are we really better off? Are we producing better art, better businesses, better lives by following the rules of the so-called experts? Or are we just drowning in a sea of perfectly optimized, boring, safe garbage? It's time to ask a very uncomfortable question. Who exactly are you seeking permission from? This isn't a new problem. The struggle between the raw, chaotic instinct of the creator and the sterile, fearful logic of the system is as old as time. Let me take you back to 1962. The comic book industry had a strict, unbreakable formula. It was a well-oiled machine. The rules were carved in stone by men in suits who knew exactly what the public wanted. Rule number 1, superheroes are gods. They are perfect, jaw-squaring, billionaire playboys or aliens with absolute moral clarity. Rule number 2, teenagers are strictly sidekicks. They exist only to ask the hero questions. And rule number 3, which seems obvious, people are terrified of insects and bugs. Enter a burned-out writer named Stan Lee. He was exhausted. He was tired of writing the same safe, sanitized stories. He was on the verge of quitting the industry entirely. But before he left, his wife gave him a piece of advice. Write one story the way you want to write it. The worst they can do is fire you. So, he walked into the office of his publisher, Martin Goodman, the ultimate gatekeeper, the expert. Lee pitched a new idea, a hero who wasn't a billionaire, a kid, a teenager, who was awkward, broke, and bullied, a hero who didn't just fight villains but fought to pay his rent, a hero burdened by guilt who loses the people he loves. And his power? He has the abilities of a spider. Goodman's reaction was exactly what you would expect from an expert relying on past data. He looked at Lee and said, "That is the worst idea I have ever heard." Goodman listed the rules. People hate spiders. Teenagers can't be the main hero. And heroes, above all, do not have personal problems. The logic of the market dictated that the idea was dead on arrival. But here is where the glitch in the matrix happens. There was a magazine called Amazing Fantasy. It was a dying publication. It was bleeding money, and the next issue, issue number 15, was going to be its last. It was a dead end. And because it was dead, there was zero risk. The gatekeepers stopped caring. Goodman didn't give a damn what was in the final issue of a canceled book. The fear of rejection was removed. This is the zero-risk trigger. Without the suffocating pressure of corporate expectations, Lee took his rejected, terrible idea and threw it into that dying magazine, just to see it printed. You already know the punchline. Amazing Fantasy number 15 hit the stands, and Spider-Man became one of the most profitable, culturally significant fictional characters in human history. I find these historical glitches fascinating because they reveal a massive flaw in the way our world operates. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had an idea killed by someone who claimed to know better. Because I guarantee you are not alone. Take a look at the music industry. January 1st, 1962, the exact same year. A scruffy band from Liverpool auditions for Decca Records. The experts at the label listen, analyze the market trends, and deliver their verdict. Guitar groups are on their way out, Mr. Epstein. They rejected the Beatles. The experts are not visionaries, they are historians. They can only validate what already exists. But why did Spider-Man work? Why did an idea that violated every known rule of the market resonate so deeply? Because of a fundamental psychological truth that the spreadsheets couldn't capture. The shift from idealization to identification. The gatekeepers believed that the audience wanted to escape their pathetic lives by looking up to perfect, invincible gods. They thought people wanted to worship. But Stan Lee understood something darker and much more beautiful about human nature. We don't want to worship perfection. We want to feel understood in our suffering. When you give a hero a flaw, when you give him a sick aunt, a late utility bill, and a heart broken by grief, you aren't making him weak. You are making him human. The public didn't connect with the superpowers. They connected with the vulnerability. The empathy factor shattered the paradigm. The very things the experts said would destroy the character, the anxiety, the youth, the problems, were the exact things that made him immortal. This brings us to the core mechanism, the force of intrinsic conviction. Authoritarianism in the creative process, whether it's a boss, an algorithm, or your own internalized fear of judgment, kills the soul of the work. Exceptional things are rarely born from a checklist. They are born from a creator's burning, irrational belief that something must exist. Stan Lee didn't write Spider-Man to please the market. He wrote it because he wanted to read it. He wrote it for himself. Now, look at your own life. How much of your day is spent living in silent desperation? How many of your decisions are dictated by the invisible rules of your industry, your family, or your social circle? Are you playing it safe? Are you watering down your words, your art, your business pitches, just to make sure they are digestible for the gatekeepers? We are living in an era of mass conformity disguised as hyper-individualism. You scroll through your feed and it looks like a million different voices. But it's really just a million people trying to guess what the algorithm wants today. You need to ask yourself the brutal questions. Why did you abandon that project? Was it really a bad idea? Or did you just present it to someone who only understands the past? Are you seeking validation? Or are you seeking truth? We have been conditioned to be executors. Workers on a factory line waiting for the foreman to hand us the blueprint. If the foreman says no spiders, we don't draw spiders. But the world doesn't need more compliant executors. It is desperate, utterly starving for autonomous creators. To escape this trap, you must fundamentally change your operating system. You must transition from an executor who seeks permission to a creator who relies on their internal compass. You must realize that the rules of your industry are just the fossilized remains of what worked 10 years ago. They are not laws of physics, they are suggestions, usually made by people who are too afraid to build anything themselves. Find your amazing fantasy number 15. Find the space in your life where the stakes are low. The dying magazine, the quiet weekend, the anonymous blog. Find the place where the gatekeepers aren't looking, where there is zero risk of corporate ruin. And in that space, build the thing they told you not to build. Embrace the flaws. Inject your own messy, complicated humanity into your work. Stop trying to create the pristine, perfect hero and start creating the kid who struggles to pay the rent. That is where the empathy lives. That is where the connection happens. Do not let the cynics, the experts, the men in suits convince you that your instinct is wrong just because it hasn't been proven by a focus group yet. Innovation isn't about predicting the future. It's about having the courage to forge it, even when everyone around you says it's the worst idea they've ever heard. So, I ask you, what is your terrible idea? And more importantly, how much longer are you going to let it stay buried in the dark? Subscribe to the channel, join us in this descent, because out here in the shadows, we don't ask for permission.